We are back with part 3 of our G.I. Joe Classified series Faction Wishlist, and today we are focusing on the Dreadnoks, a reprehensible group of mercenaries, vandals, and thieves specializing in violence and destruction who have no regard for anyone or anything but themselves and fast money. Sounds like my kind of people. Hello everyone, welcome back to Toy Habits. I'm Michael, and with me always is my collector in crime Larry, and today we are sharing our wish list for the G.I. Joe Classified series Dreadnok line by getting inspiration from the vintage figures and the one and only Stronox Customs, who is batting 1,000 in tonight's episode as he has developed customs for every single figure that's on our list tonight. But before we dive in, the Dreadnoks have a very interesting backstory on how they became a part of the G.I. Joe universe. So back in 1983, Return of the Jedi hit the silver screen, and Hasbro's idea was to borrow from the popularity of Star Wars, and they wanted the Dreadnoks to be like the Ewoks of the Forest Moon of Endor. And according to Larry Hama in an interview he did with Toy Fair, he thought that was a really bad idea. You can't have Joes running around shooting teddy bears. So the idea became a biker gang inspired by a movie that also came out a few years earlier, Mad Max, which features a post-apocalyptic biker gangs, and hence the Dreadnoks were born. Now, the anti-establishment nature of the Dreadnoks attracted me to these figures when they first came out. What about you, Larry?
I mean, as a kid, I think it was really just that they were different. You know, they weren't part of the soldier aspect of Cobra. They were a subset, and you could tell they were just different. I don't know if I really paid too close of attention to exactly what they were in the universe, because I think a lot of what I played was just my own storylines anyways. I don't know. I think just the fact that they were different, and I loved Zartan when he came out, so then knowing that there were, other members of kind of his group or whatever, I think I was just cool with all of that. So
yeah, definitely. I loved all the hijinks that they got into in the cartoon. So, and also seeing them on the pegs as a kid, they were very different. They had different colors, and they had some really interesting weapons, which we will get into in a little bit. But let's start off with our first figure, and the first figure in the line is Monkeywrench. Now, you have a special affinity for Monkeywrench, so kind of tell us a little bit about that.
I don't even know what it is about him. His weapon's cool. It kind of reminds me of Jabba's like skiff guard figures weapons, like with the kind of that pronged piece at the end, and I think his vest is cool. I like the grenades strapped to him. His shades of course are cool, and he's always been my favorite of the cronies, I guess, of the Dreadnoks, aside from Zartan and family. But yeah, I don't know what there is about him, but he's always been my favorite. So
yeah, I mean, how can you not like a guy with 5 grenades strapped to his chest and a pair of matching sunglasses to go with his grenades, right?
Exactly.
He does have a cool weapon. It's a very interesting weapon. It's like a take on the bayonet, right?
Yeah, it's just it's like a bayonet and a trident.
Yeah. He's like the merman of the Dreadnoks.
Right. Yeah, maybe that's what they were going for.
There you go.
He looks like a gang member, but something about the sunglasses remind me of like Macho Man, or maybe something from like a Stallone movie or something. But yeah, the kind of the wraps around like his pant legs, just little details like that make him really stand out apart from the actual Cobra figures usually.
Yeah, definitely. And they did make a remake of him, and it's a pretty basic figure. I wanted to include this just to kind of look at some of the history of this figure, and it kind of looks like just a literal translation of the vintage figure in just an updated sculpt.
It's just kind of meh. There's really nothing that stands out. It looks like it could be any regular dude. If it didn't say Monkeywrench, I would think it was like maybe just a generic figure from another line. It doesn't scream Monkeywrench to me.
Totally. But the custom definitely does. The sculpting detail and just the washing of the paint that he does is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I agree. He's captured every element of that vintage figure.
Yeah. Do you notice the tattoo on his arm?
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
I think all of the figures that he's done for the Dreadnoks have some sort of tattoo, and I would actually love to see that on the classified figures. I think I do like the way that Stronox hangs these weapons and accessories off of him. He uses a little clip, which I think is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like, probably what we'd see from classified, is some of those same kind of attachments and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's good. I like the layered look of it. The vest looks like it'd be a separate piece.
Yeah.
And then the strap with the grenades all looks like a separate piece. And then the extra strap going across the other way looks like another piece.
Yeah.
That tags. I mean, everything's pieced out, and I think that's cool. It gives a lot more definition to the figure. So
Yeah, definitely. And I could see the use of Gung Ho's vest. You can actually take his vest off. He could have all those layers come off, which would be pretty cool. And you can think about his necklace as Major Blood's necklace, right? It's like something that could come off if you pop his head off.
I like from the back too, kind of the detail in this like the stitching and stuff like that, and like the loops on his belt and different things. There's a lot of little details like that I would like to see in a classified version. So I do feel like the head sculpt is a little, like, I think it's the sunglasses need to be like a little fuller, you know, to really go with the vintage look. But I think other than that, he's nailed it on every other part of the figure. It's an awesome custom. I'd love to see that basically as the classified version.
All right, so let's move on to the next figure on the list, which is Buzzer. I think for me, this figure is really cool. I love his accessories and just the way that he looks. You know, he definitely has those sunglasses. He has that yellow hair. Love the skull and crossbones on his belt. I'm surprised that mine still has that on there.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. The skull and crossbones on there. So yeah, what is that on his sleeve? Is that on his arm, on his left arm there? Is that a tattoo?
That's a tattoo. Yep.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've actually seen him to look at the little details like that. I forgot he even had a tattoo. So
yeah, I forget a lot of these things have the details that, and you know, when you're looking at it through a camera and up close, you see a lot more.
Yeah, it's funny because as a kid, I don't know if I even paid any attention to it at all.
No, not at all. I love that he looked cool and he comes with a gas can on his back. Like, how cool is that? I'm like, as a kid, gas was for the car, not to be strapped to your back and used other places.
Oh yeah, I mean, what kind of crazy guy goes running around with a chainsaw and a gas can strapped to his back? I mean,
right. Yeah, it's so funny. The Dreadnoks, they're proficient in just gathering up materials, and they're scavengers basically, and a lot of their weapons look like they've just made them out of just spare parts lying around. It's like you can imagine Buzzer sawing off this shotgun that he has, or this gun, and just attaching a saw blade to it and, you know, getting it to work somehow.
Yeah, and you know, now that you say that, their weapons, a lot of them remind me of the zombie survival nerf.
Yeah.
The Dreadnoks weapons remind me a lot of that, actually. You know, because it's like that pieced together stuff where you have like a screwdriver in as a handle and different things, and that's kind of that same feel for the Dreadnoks. Like you're saying, it's just pieced together, you know, weapons and different things, you know, just kind of whatever they had laying around, they just made their own stuff, and it's ready for ripping things apart.
And it's interesting, like if you look on Buzzer's shirt, he's got jump wings, he's got dog tags, and it looks like he might be former military.
He looks like somebody that would be, you know, kind of wandering through the outback or whatever. Yeah, and his face is very odd if you really look at it. You know, he just has he has a really odd face, but
yeah, he does. He looks older for some reason. He looks like he's in his like late 40s or 50s or for some reason. Maybe it's the receding hairline that they've given him. He's got too much forehead.
Yeah, he does. His hair starts pretty far back, but
Stronox provided a very cool custom on this one, and he actually did give him more of an updated, more youthful look. And I do like the shoulder armor coming off of his left arm, and the way that I think he did the sunglasses right in this one. I do like the fact that they're rounded.
What I like a lot is the detailing in the jeans, whereas the vintage figure, it just looks like blue pants. I don't know. It almost looks like faded sweatpants or something with a bunch of straps on the legs or something. I don't even know, but
yeah, it does. It doesn't look too much like jeans there.
No, but yeah, these customs, the work on the pants and kind of the detailing and you can almost see kind of the denim material detail, you know?
Yeah, he did give him a piece of shoulder armor, and then there's also one that covers his shoulder going down to his bicep as well. I think that's really cool. Like, I think Classified Series could do a lot with that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's kind of a good mix of updating the figure, staying true to the figure's roots, where, you know, you're giving him stuff that kind of goes along with the idea of scavenging and adding some protection from the stuff he's finding, but not going crazy with it. Yeah. He's got a few more little pieces of detailing and different things, but not too much where you kind of lose the figure because there's too much stuff there.
I do like the fact that his arms are asymmetrical. I think something that bothers me sometimes is toy companies just sometimes they get lazy and they just make the same arm, right and the left arm, put them on, and there you go. So I like the fact that it's different.
And the other thing is, kind of make sure that there's no mix-up in the factory where you end up with the left arm as the right arm and things like that, because it's obviously a different piece.
Yeah. Definitely. That would solve your problems.
It would. And then the accessories, the update he's given to the chainsaw is really incredible. And the gas can looks, it looks good. Gas can on the back, so It's cool.
I do like the fact that he separated the gun from the chainsaw. So he actually has a shooting weapon and a weapon that he can just cause a severe amount of damage to somebody.
Yeah.
Without killing them.
Yeah, because they were always taking their weapons and just like slicing through tanks and cars and just whatever metal they could find that they could slice through with the weapons that they had made. So this would do that, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. It would do a very good job. It's a pretty sizable looking chainsaw.
He even has like another piece of armor or an elbow guard of some kind on his right arm, so that's pretty cool because I didn't notice that from the picture on the the kind of the front. But looking at back from the back, you can see that a little bit of detail's been added too.
If Hasbro just took this and just made this a classified figure, that'd be awesome. All right, so let's move on to our third member of the list, and it is Torch.
Torch. Yeah, he's always had such a weird look to me. Kind of the super weird leather shirt that you can't tell if like he's been in some kind of dance club or something.
He's fun.
And then it's such a weird shirt. If you look at that, it looks like shiny leather. I don't know what he's into, but it's definitely a weird shirt. His hair, for a figure of the time, his hair's pretty detailed, but it does have a really kind of odd look.
It's like parted down the middle.
It's almost like it's kind of feathered a little bit. But it almost looks like he's been wearing a hat, so It's got kind of like an indentation in it, and probably from like the headband at some point.
Yeah.
I don't. But he's definitely unique. I mean, there's no mistake of who it is.
He looks like a punk. He's got those straight across sunglasses. He's got that weird looking shirt, and I don't know if the Dreadnoks could afford leather at the time. Maybe it's pleather, who knows. I do like his skull necklace though. I think they could do a lot like that with like the Major Blood dog tags. They could just make him a skull necklace that's removable, and he's got a chain belt, and I think they could do a lot with some accessories that hang off of him. So maybe again with the gung-ho removable vest, like maybe it's a vest that you can unstrap and take off, but I don't know how much I'd be doing that because I don't want these guys going around shirtless.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is looking back on them, there's so many of them with like exposed midriffs and different things. They're very odd figure designs kind of looking back at them. The appeal of them or just kind of accepting that that's their design and like looking at this and being like, oh yeah, this is a super cool figure. Just as a kid, it seems funny that it would fit into, just playing at the time. But I had all these guys, and they were all cool. I liked them.
Yeah, definitely. He's got some beard game going on. It's actually a current beard that's back in beard design that's back in style.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's got a current style. So maybe he was the trendsetter. Maybe he had kind of started that whole thing off. It's the torch.
Totally. Yeah, and he's also got a knife strapped to one side and a pistol. So yeah, I mean, I could see Classified's doing a pretty good job with this. He comes with an acetylene torch, with a oxygen tank and acetylene tank backpack. I mean, he's ready to set stuff ablaze here.
He's ready to do something. I don't know. He's got a lot of different weapons at his disposal. So
totally. Yeah, and Stronox, he did it again here, and he just made a really, really cool figure. And I think if you see in that first picture, he did update his torch, and he actually packed the acetylene inside the torch, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and then the case he's made for it to go in is just awesome. It's really cool just because it's a pretty unique kind of thing. Once again, it looks like something that they would make, which is really cool. And I like that he's got him kind of carrying like that machete or whatever, but it doesn't look like it's not a typical machete look to it. It's got kind of like a handle that looks like maybe he found it from something else and just kind of welded something together or whatever. So
yeah, even the blade doesn't look like a machete blade. It looks like he found some piece of sheet metal and just stuck the two together and just forged a blunt blade.
It looks like he was a Forged in Fire contestant, and he wasn't very good. Maybe he was like the second one kicked off the show or whatever. And
that's funny. I do like the chains on his vest there. I think they add just a cool dimension to the figure.
Yeah, they make that because this vest on the custom doesn't look weird to me at all. It just looks like a vest. I mean, it's still the same kind of design.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that it's not so open, the nature of the way the custom is done makes it look more like it would be an acceptable biker gang kind of apparel, I guess. Especially with the chains. I mean, anybody that's got chains woven into the armpits of their vest is probably okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and he does have some, I think, brown forearm or bicep guards, and yeah, it's just kind of it's an interesting way to place those. Usually you see them on the forearm only, but they kind of go up to the biceps. Maybe that's for the heat, who knows?
Yeah, you wouldn't think it'd be comfortable, though. I mean, with chafing and all kinds of stuff, it would be really...
Oh, yeah.
Especially on the heat, and then working with that torch, good grief.
No, that would suck. But I think he did his hair really, really well this time. So maybe he took cues from the vintage figure design. He gave him a more up-to-date look, a little shorter haircut, and the headband doesn't look like it's squeezing his brain too much.
It's a really natural look. It looks like, like it would look for real if that's what if that's what you're doing, and the hair is laying like it should and everything. So it's really, really good job. I like detailing in the boots too, kind of the straps. They look like just a good update to the vintage design. Kind of brings out the detail in those a little bit too.
Yeah, they kind of look like metal stuck in there. And you know me, I like a good boot and a good shoe. So there you go. It's my favorite parts of these figures. I wonder if people find that weird. All right, let's move on to the next Dreadnok on the list, which is Ripper. And he was my favorite for some reason. He just looked like he was just out to cause trouble. And I love the jackhammer that he has there, or that vice, or whatever that is. Or is it the jaws of life? Who knows? But he just comes with some cool accessories.
That looks like it could be used for so many different things. Maybe it's a combo of all three of those things.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah, I mean, I think the tattered green tank top he's got on, and he's got that knife in there, and then the gold, the kind of like bronze collar around his bicep is cool.
Yeah. And
then of course the red shades, just kind of a lot of different elements of color to him, kind of just makes him stand out. So.
Yeah, and his mohawk, that was par for the course for the time, right?
He kind of has that Mr. T vibe about him.
He does.
But, with the mohawk and almost like the wrinkled kind of angry forehead look, and a little bit with the beard.
Yeah, do you know what his backpack is supposed to be? It kind of looks like a generator if you turn it around to the back. And maybe that's what it was, because didn't he have to power all these tools?
That's what I always assumed it was. Okay. It was some kind of, power supply or power source for the jackhammer, jaws of life.
Yeah, I think the classified series could do a lot just with his accessories alone, and it looks like his gun / bayonet type of weapon, it looks like he was much better at finding something to fix onto his gun. So I think he did a better job than most of the Dreadnoks with his weapon choices.
Yeah, his looks like more like he found maybe parts of a couple weapons and put those together instead of piecing, scrap metal or whatever to make his stuff. So yeah,
totally.
Are we ready to move on to the custom?
Oh yeah,
because this for me is the best of the customs.
Yeah,
there's just so many cool elements about it. He's still got that green in the shirt, but there's a lot of different things that he's added along there, and there's so many little detail things. All the little pouches on the belt, the strap on his leg, the kind of the bracing and like padding on the knees and stuff, and then his hair and his sunglasses. There's just a lot of really good detail that stays true to the vintage figure, but really updates it. And I would love to see this same look in classified.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and I love the fact that his head sculpt, it's a lot more rectangular versus the vintage figure was a lot more round.
It makes the mohawk look right, Yeah. I love that he's kept that same knife design. I think that's cool to have on there too.
Yeah, and I think he has a very good hose design that I think Hasbro should just steal. I'm just going to flat out say it. I think we talked about this in a different episode with those black hoses, and we're like, okay, what would be a good replacement for those black hoses? And I think he nailed it with this one.
Yeah, wrapping that wire around it, and it would kind of keep it locked in however you put it without having it kind of where it wants to kind of bend wherever it's going to go. And yeah, this would do the trick. So,
and it's long enough too, which by that definition, I'm sold.
Yeah.
In the first picture, you can see the tattoo on his arm there, and also in the second picture, he's got a cobra tattoo on his arm. So I think that's really cool. He's got two tattoos for both parties that he's working for.
Yeah, and I can see these guys being kind of whoever's the highest bidder, trying to. They'd be fine selling Zartan down the if commander's gonna give them some extra cash or whatever, and they'd also be fine backstabbing Cobra Commander for Zartan if there was more money there. So
oh yeah, all of them would, and they've done it several times over, and they're all friends in the end still, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
They all play the same game. I do like the way in the third picture where he's got the jackhammer Jaws of Life attached to the backpack. I think in the vintage figure there was no place for it. I think that fits with the classified series of just like attaching stuff to backpacks, and I like the way that he wrapped the hose around that thing too.
Yeah, it looks cool. And I like that strap on his right leg. It's got that kind of darker green with the gray. I think it looks cool. Brings that out a little bit more. We can see the detailing more in that too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he did a fantastic job on this one, hands down. And it's funny, when I was looking up these figures, I came across a story, and it's we have Zartan's original core group of figures featured. We have Tom Winkin, aka Torch. We have Harry Nod, aka Ripper, and Richard Blinken Smythe, aka Buzzer. So if you put them all together, you have Tom, Dick, and Harry, as well as Winkett, Blinken, and Nod, which are names pulled from a 1985 Eugene Fields poem of the same title. So, I guess this was 1985, 1986 time, and the line had been out for a while, so I guess they were trying to kind of pull everything out of their hat for these guys.
That's really funny, and I'm sure I probably didn't. I know I always read over the file cards, but as far as like putting them together, as far as any kind of connection between the names or anything, that stuff I never would. Yeah, but that's funny to think about, like people sitting around saying, what if we gave these guys, it'd be different names, of course, but make it Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah,
and,
funny.
It's pretty funny.
All right. We are now moving into Zartan's family lineage now, with our first one up being Zarana. And I don't know which version of Zarana you had, because they did produce two. Like, as an adult collector of these, I did have both versions. Of course, I sold the earring ones because they fetched me more money, and I thought the earring version looked a little weird, and so I kind of liked the more feminine looking Zarana.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever seen the earring version. I think my original was the other one, so I didn't even know there were two versions until many years later, of course. With you, I do like the more feminine looking one, probably just because that's the one I had, so it just looks more natural.
Yeah, and it's funny, I was reading up on her today, and she is also a master of disguise, but instead of a face mask that changes and alters your appearance through holograms and whatnot, she just puts on makeup and acts, so she does method acting.
A lot of these things, same things were done in movies and stuff like that, so you could see that, she would want to do a different take. She wouldn't do the same kind of disguise techniques as Zartan, so it's pretty cool. They all have kind of that same mindset of disguise and trying to mislead people, but it's cool that they all kind of go in different ways with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you notice too, on this figure, the upper arms resemble Zartan's vintage arms, and even her boots, they look like they would be in the classified series because of those, that really pronounced knee pad that she has and that knee armor. And also just the shape of the boot and the shoe. Yeah,
definitely. Even back then, they went out of their way to give extra attention and detail to the boots. So yeah, I think that'd be a good way for them to bring it into the classified line. So
I do like this updated sculpt, and I think this makes the figure look so much more interesting. It's a huge departure from the original vintage figure, but I could see this as an updated figure.
You know what it is to me is it's not an updated figure. This is just one of her other disguises.
That's true.
She could have any look you want. I really like the pink hair and the kind of the hairstyle with the glasses up. I think that's cool. I really like the head sculpt on this, but I think that that's the way I would go with it, is that this is just one of her many disguises, and that that original look was just another one, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
And the boots for the custom, they're like high-heeled, thigh-high boots, and they're pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And he also did another custom. He did one in 6-inch scale, and I think there are aspects of this one that I really, really like. You know, I do like the pink shirt underneath, because that kind of harkens back to the vintage figure, and I like the hair for some reason. Like, I love that it's just kind of just flowing off to one side. It's just kind of spiked off. It's not really a mohawk, but I think it's cool.
Yeah. And the kind of the makeup and the hair and stuff go with that, you know, her using makeup as part of her disguise and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's, and then kind of the pronounced earrings are probably kind of a way of like Easter egg kind of thing for the earring version from the original figure and stuff like that, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like her boots, she might have found a Cobra Viper who didn't make it very far and just took his boots and put them on and put some new paint app on them and called it good.
You could probably do something with like snakeskin on that too, but just because I think that looked kind of cool, because it looks like that, you know, pouch on her belt, it looks like probably just leather detailing, but that could be like a snakeskin kind of detailing on that as well.
Oh, that'd be neat. Yeah, and I do like the way that that stuff is colored too. Like I do like the browns and the pinks and the blacks. They go really nicely with each other.
See, I think for me, I would like to see the head sculpt from that 3 3/4 inch custom. I would like to see that translated over to the 6-inch scale, because I really like that other head sculpt.
Yeah,
I like the pink hair a lot. I don't know. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, well, why stop at one head sculpt, right? I mean, they did make a deluxe Zartan, so they could make a deluxe Zarana. Yeah, and in this 6-inch scale figure, he did provide that gun with that saw blade on it, which I think looks really cool. Again, it looks like she just hacked a piece on there and got it to work, and now it's a gun that can have a blade that's attached to it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have no idea how a gun like that would even work, but I mean it.
Yeah, or maybe it's not even a gun. Maybe it's just a saw blade that you just pull the trigger. She had to make it out of something, right? So she found a blade. She had maybe a non-working gun and just kind of linked them up together, and there she goes.
Yeah, that could be.
All right, the next one on the list we have is her brother, Zandar. And did you have this figure as a kid as well?
I did. I loved Zandar. I don't even know what there was about him, because he's a really an odd figure if you look at him, because he doesn't have a shirt. He's got a pink neckerchief kind of thing, and then blue sleeves that I don't even know how's he keeping them on.
Right.
You know, I mean, well, are they just so tight that they just stay? I don't understand. Like,
it's compression sleeves.
I guess,
it's compression armor.
But he's got.
Oh, you know who'll know? Dr. Mindbender, because he made this.
Yeah, there you go. You know, like, are the red lightning bolts? Are those tattoos? Are they scars? Is it blood? I never knew what it was, but he was such a cool figure. I like that he was Zartan's brother.
Yeah.
I like the orange hair, the kind of the scars or face paint that he has on his face. His coloring is really cool, just because it's different, you know, with the gray pants and that yellow belt stuff.
Yeah, and he also has earrings too, which I just noticed. Like, I didn't realize that at first.
It's a really cool, and then the fact that he has the quiver, kind of that crossbow style gun. I think it's really cool. He has a different vibe to him, and I like that about him.
Yeah, his gun, you know, it looks like, you know, he could throw an arrow in there, but the scope on that thing, it looks like he could shoot from a very far distance and be very accurate with this gun.
Yeah, it's like a sniper crossbow rifle something.
Yeah, and I think for the time, too, the gun sculpt looks really cool. I mean, I'm looking at it up close, and the scope is actually really thick, and it's got a lot of detail in it that you didn't really find in those particular weapons for the time.
And then, of course, the color change feature. I think that was another big selling point for me. I loved all those figures with the color change.
What do you think about this custom? It's a very different look for Zandar, and you know, he's given a lot longer hair. It's kind of parted like Torch's was in the vintage style figure. He's kind of given a more updated, I think also a little bit more youthful look too.
It's quite a departure. I mean, it still has a lot of the same elements, kind of with the weapons and different things. Still has the blue kind of sleeves, and it's got that kind of that same ribbed design that you were talking about from Zartan and Zarana. Mm-hmm. So I think that's cool. I guess I would just like to see a few more elements of that kind of the original. Maybe if the thing around his neck, maybe if that's maybe if that was pink.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I would totally make that pink.
I would make that pink and maybe go ahead and make the belt yellow, just because I still think it would look cool.
Yeah.
It would stand a little bit, but I think it would harken back to the original figure to have a few more elements that are the same. But I think it's cool. It looks really. I guess I would just like it to be a little more true to the original design.
Yeah, I do actually like that he has a shirt on. I'm not too fond of all the Dreadnoks with their shirts off. So I know I've been saying a lot about like the vest being removable. I just want that layered look. I actually don't want to take it off, but I like that he has a shirt on, and maybe it could have some rips in there, and maybe you could see maybe some of the lightning bolts that kind of harken back from the vintage figure. But yeah, I do like the texturing on the shirt. It kind of goes with that classified style right now.
Yeah, I really like the pants and the boots a lot. Think that the all the different like pouches and just kind of the coloring he's got on the pants is really good, and then the boots, that kind of brown and almost like a copper color. I think it looks really cool.
I also like the updated quiver, or actually it's not even a quiver anymore because I don't see any arrows in it. It's basically a backpack to house his gun. It
looks like something you'd find in a like a sporting goods catalog or store. Like it looks like a thing that you would be able to buy. It doesn't look like anything that's like out of this world or anything. It looks like a pretty natural piece. So, yeah. I mean, I think the holster for the gun is pretty cool, having that on there because that's got the same look to it. And then I think the gloves are another good thing about the custom. The gloves kind of match the boots, and it's kind of got the same look on the gloves for the custom, where it's kind of got that same leathery look with like the open fingers and stuff like that. So I think it's cool. The custom has kind of that same hair sculpt from. They did a release of Zandar. I don't remember if it was in a convention set.
Yeah, or that Big Bad Toy Store exclusive 6-pack.
Maybe that's what it was. But it was that same kind of parted down the middle, a little bit longer. And kind of a younger face than what like what you were saying before. So it's got that same kind of look for the head sculpt. So I kind of like kind of the shorter hair of the original, but I don't dislike the new one. So I'd probably be okay with either one.
Totally. And I think all of Stronox customs were absolutely amazing additions to this particular episode. And my wish would be to interview him at some point, and I want to see about lining that up someday. But we have Zartan. So we have the start of the Dreadnok crew. So I'm just waiting and hoping that they're going to do right by us and release some of these things.
I think for me, I hope that if they start doing, figures like the Dreadnoks, I would like to see them do maybe a couple in a wave, and then the next wave do a couple more, so that we make sure to get them out. I don't want to see one Dreadnok and then a year later, here's another one. I don't know if I feel like the line's going to go on for 5 or 6 years or anything, so let's try to get through some of them,
Yeah, totally. I hope it goes on as long as the Masters of the Universe Classics line, but they put out a lot of figures per year. Like, Hasbro is not putting out a ton of figures like I thought they would.
Yeah. I mean, that's the disappointing thing. I think we got spoiled as far as Masters of the Universe Classics collectors, because that was at least a figure every month, and a lot of times every other month there'd be a second figure, and sometimes then you'd also get a 2-pack or something, and then all the convention exclusives and different things throughout the year. So a lot of times you had 20 figures come out in a year.
Yeah.
Most collectors for classified would love to see 20 figures in a year.
Oh, totally. We could only fit a subset of the Dreadnok, so we chose to focus on the core set in this episode today, but there are more in the comic lore, and also there was a G.I. Joe convention exclusive, there was a collector club figures, there's a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive set, so let us know which Dreadnoks you'd like to see in the G.I. Joe Classified series. Do you just want to stay with the core 5, or do you want to expand it to all of the Dreadnoks? We already have Zartan, and it's only a matter of time before more Dreadnoks get added to the line, so sound off. Also, you can find a link to Stronox Customs in the description. And the last PSA, if you haven't checked out our G.I. Joe Classified Series file card reveal, please check it out here, as this is one of the file cards that we've already designed with Zartan. So we have a start on the Dreadnoks, and thanks for tuning in to Toy Habits. I'm Michael.
And I'm Larry.
And please hit that subscribe button on your way out.